you get out of the car. Anywhere you take your phone, you can take Howard Stern, NFL Radio, and commercial-free music channels from nearly every genre. Channels vary by subscription plan. You never have to miss your favorite SiriusXM programs or commercial-free music. Find the SiriusXM app in the App Store or call 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/app to find out more.
You can hear every MLB game on SiriusXM.
This team never stops.
Hear your hometown announcers on the all-new SiriusXM app.
They celebrate at home plate.
And talk baseball every day with our team of former players and executives on MLB Network Radio, Channel 89.
There's just something magical about baseball.
To listen to MLB Network Radio, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
You deserve the best. With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritize customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
Netflix is a Joke Radio brings you exclusive comedy specials and stand-up from Netflix's massive library from the world's biggest comedians.
He's Mick Jagger. I pitched him a joke and he went, "No, funny!"
We give you unparalleled access to Netflix's top premieres. And Wake Up with Tom Papa and Fortune Feaster.
What a joke. What a joke. More of us, more comedy.
To hear Netflix is a Joke Radio, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/go.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, thanks.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast.
Grando Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. According to me and people who love the universe, what a beautiful day. It is Thursday, May 16th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya, where the good Lord split ya. If that makes sense to you, I want to say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to a beautiful person, the most beautiful woman in the universe. Happy birthday. I hope that my voice holds up as I'm trying to sing happy birthday. Sometimes my voice, it just doesn't sound as crisp as it should be because those allergies are trying to sing with me. Happy birthday. Oh, the fair and loving word. Really do appreciate it. I want to say, with Big C Sports Podcast, because I've been coming off of losing my voice, I'm not going to try to scream on this Big C Sports Podcast. I'm going to try to sing. I'm going to try to say my show more like a normal person would talk. What's a normal person, Big C? one that doesn't scream in the microphone. But I'm going to try to get this voice to hold up. It's hard. It's hard not screaming when you got a whole hour to go. And when they say, if you're in space and no one hears you scream, do you really make a sound? The answer is yes. But I'm going to try to make a better sound by preserving my voice as much as possible. I want to say we got some NBA basketball. I'm telling you, you got to appreciate good basketball. And the Boston Celtics, obviously, they're going to await the New York Knicks or the Indiana Pacers. I think it's going to be New York. And then you got the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got knocked out last night. They still got one game to go, but they were. I think they're going to lose this game at Dallas. They're down. They had a chance to go and capture a home court advantage, but they lost to the Luka Doncic learned how to play defense instead of arguing with the officials. And that's what I said. It's the key for them winning, and they got that done. I think they'll get it done in Game 6 back in Dallas. At the same time, you got Minnesota taking on the defending NBA champion Denver Nuggets, and I think Denver's going to close that game out too, even though they started down 2-0. But you got Nikola Jokic, also Jamal Murray and Gordon. Those good boys, they have experience. They're the NBA defending champions. They're battle-tested, and they're not going to lose to the nouveau riche Minnesota Timberwolves. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. At the same time, got some NFL football schedules came out. Going to talk a little bit about that. NHL hockey says, what about NHL hockey? NHL hockey is also doing its thing, but it just doesn't compete with NBA basketball. Neither does WNBA compete with NBA basketball. As people try to get you to watch every single thing that's out there, people tend to watch what they want to watch. And if you're looking at sports right now, NBA basketball is number 1. NFL football is number 2. But it's not football season, Big C. That's okay. The schedule came out yesterday, and people talk more about the NFL schedule than they do about WNBA basketball, and then they do about hockey. Now, if you're in Canada, hockey is Canada's best sport, I believe, and then you have CFL football, you have Major League Baseball team there as well, and NBA basketball team. But it's something about NFL football. People even want to talk about the preseason. Preseason? Yeah, preseason. That gets a lot of attention when it comes to what people want to watch. And NFL football is king. There's some big games coming up. I'll talk about those too. At the same time, I love NBA basketball, the way it's being played right now. Nikola Jokic showed the last game where he dropped over 40 points. He's real MVP. I know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got some votes, but he's not the MVP of the league. He's young. Give him a couple of years to get his, what they say, get his ears wet behind the ears, and then we'll see if he can step up and get to the same level of Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid or LeBron James or Steph Curry. We always want to crown people. Anthony Edwards for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You want to crown him? Crown him. Just don't crown him yet. You got to look at the older guys, the old guard. And Nikola Jokic he's amazing. I don't think he's flashy. He's a lot like Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan was not flashy. Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, he was flashy. I would say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was flashy because of the sky hook. Nikola Jokic is the greatest passer of any of them, and probably a greatest shooter. He's a walking triple-double. But he also has Jamal Murray that can pull any defender away from the Joker, and they got to try to stop Murray, and then he has Gordon. Denver has a lot of players that can be key role players and step it up to help their team become successful, and that's why I believe they will win the Western Conference Championship, no matter who they play, if it's Dallas or if they play OKC, the Thunder. I still say that Denver, if you want to be the champion, you got to beat the champion. And as far as I know, Denver, they're champions for a reason. I know a lot of people want to say, oh, well, they're kind of a boring team. They're not a boring team. They're just up in Denver where you don't get a lot of TV coverage nationwide. But obviously the Midwest, they love the Denver Nuggets. I call them the Denver Chicken Nuggets. But these are not ordinary chicken nuggets, if that makes sense to you. They're really good. Maybe they're the Denver Golden Nuggets. That way the kids won't get distracted when they say, you want to see the Nuggets? And kids think, yeah, I want some Nuggets. And they go, where are the Nuggets? And people turn on the TV saying, that's not the Nuggets I wanted. They're the Denver Nuggets. The kids think they're called the Denver Chicken Nuggets, but the adults feel they're called the Denver Golden Nuggets. But whatever you call them NBA champion nuggets. And that is great if you don't know the difference between a golden nugget and a chicken nugget. And, I always love talking about reparations on Big C Sports Podcast because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And I love doing my part to either lead, follow, or get out of the way. You can't please everybody. And I know that that's part of life. If you're going to try to please everybody, you're probably not going to be all that happy. I want to say what I try to do, even pleasing my sidekick. Yeah, you never please me all the time, Big C. Well, I'm trying to please you, but sometimes people can't be pleased. But I want to say I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows based on the platforms that I have. And then the sound effects are done. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. The storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. Oh, my God. He played some defense last night. Can you believe Luka Doncic for 3? Yes, get in the hole in your life. You see what happens if you have the Denver Nuggets. They have the Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray. If you have, and I think they're going to play the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals. Dallas was there 2 years ago. They got knocked out by Golden State. But you got Kyrie Irving, and if the guy will just stop arguing and start playing defense, Luka Doncic is good. He may have a little hitch in his giddy up, but Kyrie Irving's amazing. He can get you some points. If they get back on defense against OKC, that's a young team, but I think they'll march into the Western Conference Finals, and they'll play the Denver Nuggets. I don't think many people are looking forward to see OKC in Minnesota, and they're probably not going to get that. On the other hand, outside of Indiana and Cleveland's already knocked out. Boston's good for TV. They have the 17 NBA championships. That's tied with the LA Lakers. And so there's a lot of emphasis on Boston trying to get back and climb one more ladder higher than the Lakers. And then you got the New York Knicks if they knock out the Indiana Pacers, and I think they will. The East Coast is going to love the Boston Celtics from TD Gardens, and they're going to love the New York Knicks from Madison Square Garden. That I-95 rivalry, people know it's been around many, many years. And the last time the Knicks were in the finals, they had the great Patrick Ewing. And Pat Riley was their head coach. And they lost to Houston. Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. At the same time, the Boston Celtics, last time in the finals, they lost to the Golden State Warriors. These not your ordinary Warriors. They lost to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and the Golden State Warriors. And now Boston's right back in the saddle. But you can't take these things for granted. They're an older team now, but they've been kind of the favorite for the most part of the year, at least to come out of the Eastern Conference. I still say until someone beats Denver, I'm still going to go with Denver as the NBA champion. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. The show's uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City, and then streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. So I got through that part without my raspy voice cracking up. So I'm going to try to get into the next part of Big C Sports Podcast. I love paying homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, you simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give us some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's nice when somebody's leaning back. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. I like that part when God said reparations in the Bible, because maybe enough Congress people, especially the ones who call themselves Christians, maybe when they start realizing that when you let there be light, it means light will elucidate things. Shine light on the subject of doing the right thing. Who can say that we don't deserve reparations when you hear some of the things I'm going to play today, the testimony? In order to save my voice, I'm going to give you more as it helped me get through the show yesterday. And hopefully with some more collard greens, my voice will get better. And I've been sucking on that NyQuil. I've been gargling with salt water, and also some ginger's good. But today, I feel so much better. But I know I don't want to scream too loud. They say in space, if someone, what do they say? What was that movie, Sigourney Weaver? In space, no one can hear you scream. Oh yeah, they can hear Big C scream. But right now, I got that frog in my throat, so I'm going to not scream too loud. At the same time, I'm working on a commercial. My commercial is interactive. Interactive? Yes. Interactive. People may have heard me screaming enough times by now. They should know the words. But unlike most people who make a commercial, I do mine on one take. Most people do a commercial. They go into a studio. They do 29 takes. I only do one take. One take. If I make a mistake, you hear my mistake. If I don't make a mistake, then you don't hear my mistake. My hope is not to make a mistake no matter what. I know if I make a mistake or not, but I'm going to say, ready, set, go. A guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. Resource Development Consulting, Inc., in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and George Jones, The Missing Link. Long-term care, solutions by the book, helping seniors to get their benefits, Medicare and you, taking care of tomorrow. Healthcare coverage, California is called Medi-Cal. Your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. Find out your options. What options, Big C? Our promise to you are these options. Specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without a spend down. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescriptions, medical equipment costs, and more. Do you know anyone that's ever dealt with skilled nursing facilities? Do you know anyone who's ever dealt with medical prescriptions? Do you know anyone who's ever dealt with medical equipment costs and more? Protection of your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. If that makes sense to you, you got to understand. Avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program called probate, which can take up to 10 to 40% of your assets, if that makes sense to you. I don't want to strain my voice, but I just want to make sure you get it. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Give that some praise. But not only that, I'm not done yet. You got to understand what I'm saying with the Big C team and the RDC team with Resource Development Consulting. And we talk about asset protection in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and the law office of George Jones. Protection insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance, veterans benefits, aid and attendance pre-planning, and avoid the look-back period. What's the look-back period, Big C? Well, some states can go back 5 years to look back. We have a way of helping you avoid that as much as possible. Fixed assets, your bank account, your checking account, savings account, money market account, certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, fixed index annuities, variable assets, real estate, qualified money, IRA, 401k, other investments. Avoid capital gains. Capital gains? Yes, avoid capital gains. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000 according to some real estate brokers. $100,000? Yeah. They say next year it's going to appreciate to $1 million. $1 million? If they do what they got to do to get the sale nowadays, if that makes sense to you. Well, there'd be a capital gains of $900,000. If you have the trust, then you avoid that. Over 3 decades of experience. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. Business owners, attention. Find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. When you do, you want to give us some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. That's my story. And I'm sticking with it. I love doing that with the RDC team. Okay, well, who endorses you, Big C? Well, I'm glad you asked. You know, you ask a lot of questions, but questions are okay if they're asked. As people want to ask, every time you get referred business by somebody, you want to ask who is their endorsements, who is their reference, who actually stands by that person or that company. That's important. I'm going to tell you, with the RDC team, we have Mr. George Jones, Esquire, chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. We have Mr. Leon Woods, Resource Development Consulting, works with many of the top lobbyists in California. We have Ms. Cheryl Brown. She's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. We have Mr. Ray Dela Cruz. He's the CEO of Resource Development Consulting. He has the endorsement of the late top legal mind of CalPERS, the late Robert Carlson. That's a great endorsement. We also have Mr. Alex De La Cruz, founder of American Veteran Benefits. That's a great endorsement. We have Mr. George H. Jones and attorney Scott Thibodeau. Those are great endorsements. And when we have on the video, when you go to our website, you can see there's a lot of endorsements in writing, and you can see the videos. RDC4LTC.com. That's RDC4LTC.com. Take a look at it and read it for yourself. We help a lot of people and been doing it 33 years. I want to give that some praise. Also, what do they say? They say, I'm not done yet. Also got the endorsement of Charlton Curry, the co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project, Northern California, and business development consultant for the RDC team. And not only that, we have Double O, Pair Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project, also consultant with RDC. And we really do appreciate all the people that listen. And she has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can hear it on Access Sacramento. And that's all that I want to tell you. For the RDC team, just look at it for yourself. Google it, figure it out. If we can be of help to your organization, RDC4LTC.com, RDC4LTC.com, or call 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. How about that? Give that some praise. My voice got through that commercial without cracking. That's amazing. I tell you, it's getting better with a lot of prayer and also some of that salt water I've been garnering. Salt water is amazing. Just don't swallow it because it's pretty salty. That's why they call it salt water. I learned that the hard way. You don't want to drink salt water. Not the best thing for you. Makes you loopy. At the same time, I want to say what I want to do for every show. I want to pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And I may be the only sports show in the universe that pays homage to them. I know a lot of times people think about, should we talk about reparations? Of course we should talk about reparations. You know, I was heard giving a speech about reparations is by the Associated Press. It was just about a year ago, Janie Hart. She heard me speak about reparations. And she called me and she asked me my thoughts on reparations. And I said, if you heard me speak, you know my thoughts. I believe in reparations now and reparations forever. I was more vocal then because I didn't have this voice jacked up the way it's jacked up now. But it's getting better. But she wrote an article that appeared in the Associated Press. What's the Associated Press, Big C? It's the largest media source in the United States and the oldest. But she mentioned March 30, 2023, that Charlton Curry of Sacramento, California, who discusses reparations on his Big C Sports podcast, that cash payments are necessary. She didn't say ESPN. She didn't say NBC. She didn't say ABC. She didn't say CBS. Because a lot of those guys, they're just afraid. And presidential candidate Dr. Cornel West said, a lot of people are afraid to say that you owe them something. If someone lost their wallet at a restaurant, they go to Lost and Found, or at least go to the manager and say, I lost my wallet. This is what it looks like. This is the name on the ID inside of it. Has anyone turned it in? And they would ask for it. And they may say, hey, it actually had $5 inside of it. They say, we found the wallet, but we didn't find the $5. You know you would go look for your wallet. So why would you make people feel bad and say, well, reparations is divisive? If you lost your $5 in your wallet at a restaurant, you know you go back after you were trying to order some chicken McNuggets. And you would say, excuse me, I ordered some chicken McNuggets, but I can't find my wallet. You would see if they turned it in. And they say, excuse me, sir, $5 won't buy you chicken McNuggets. You say, oh, but you know you go back and look and see if you could get that wallet with that $5. So when it comes to reparations, don't act like it's a bad thing. People say it's divisive. It's not divisive. What's divisive is people who say that if they lost their wallet, they would not go look for it, especially if they knew they had it at the Chicken McNugget restaurant. And you know it's true. So all I ask people to do with Big C Sports Podcast, whether you like my raspy voice or not, I just ask people to look at the facts, because facts tell the truth. Just find the facts. That's all I ask. It's going from sea to shining sea. California Reparations Task Force. A mind is a trouble thing to waste. I want to thank the chair, Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Dr. Amos C. Brown, the vice chair. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Actually, he came on the Big C Sports Podcast last month, and he talked about reparations and how it's justified. I want to thank the California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to thank Councilwoman Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to thank Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California, Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to thank Donald K. Tamaki, an attorney at law. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Give them all praise, praise, praise. Even with a raspy voice, I got through that part. Now, before I get into some sports, I want to do what I said I would do. I want to pay homage, in my mind, to what's more important than sports and what's more important than who won a game. And that's a fact. But if I don't do it, I can't blame somebody else for not doing it. That's why with the Big C Sports Podcast, I will be an advocate for reparations as long as God gives me a voice. And people know that. I'm behind all of our lawmakers. I'm behind all of them. And all I ask is that people get behind this push to do the right thing. If you need long-term care or you need any type of insurance, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. But in the meantime, I want you to listen. I want you to listen and hear me out, because doing the right thing is the right thing to do. I want you to hear some great legal minds that are going to talk to you about reparations and how it's not divisive. Just like if you lost your wallet at the Chicken McNugget restaurant with the $5 inside, you can go back and ask for it. You know, $5 won't even buy you a gallon of gas. And not in California, at most gas stations. So if you know $5 will barely buy you a gallon of gas, and Black Americans have unpaid labor, they were not even able to earn enough money to buy anything. Their labor was breathing. Their labor was breathing and working, I won't say 24 hours a day, but you know they were putting in 18 hours, maybe more. No medical help, no health care, no dental care, no insurance, no anything. No time off, no vacation time. It was just one of the most cruel systems of treatment the United States has ever levied out. They had slaves that were insured by major corporations that still exist to this day. And when the slaves got sick, they had insurance for the slave owner. And as I told you, reparations has been paid out to the slave owners. What? Yeah. Reparations are paid out to the slave owners. So anyone that argues reparations, oh, we can't do that. Unjust enrichment, slave owners got reparations. Why don't people know that? And you know what they never did? Unlike the people that lost and found when they found the wallet with the $5. Oh, they kept the $5, but at least they returned the wallet. With slavery, they kept everything. And they're still trying to keep everything. In the land of the free, the home of the brave, with liberty and justice for all. Even Thomas Jefferson owned 600 slaves. Thomas Jefferson? Wasn't he the president? Yes, he was. And he owned over 600 slaves. That country. Now, slavery existed everywhere in the world, but most places it was called manumitted slavery. You could work your time off and become free. And then not only that, 100 years of Jim Crow that kept people in bondage. Black water fountains, white water fountains, black restrooms, white restrooms, or they call it colored. It was wrong, and people know it was wrong. Just like if you find someone's wallet, if you're a decent person, you turn it in to the management. You don't go and take the money out of it. You turn it in, because a decent person would do that. Now, if you're not decent, then you're not going to turn it in, and you know who you are. You know if you can be trusted, and you know if you can't be trusted. So can the United States be trusted? Can the United States return what was inside that free labor they got, which is a lot of money, and some estimates by a financial experts in universities says $14 trillion. Is the United States, if they were to find the wallet of descendants of child of slavery, would they return it? Or would they keep all the money? Well, ask yourself. We say we're in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and that we're a just country. So the next time you see a lost and found someplace, and somebody, you know, you find something that doesn't belong to you, are you decent enough to return it? Or do you steal it? Do you say, well, that's their loss, not mine? Or are you decent enough to return it? Oh, it's too complicated to return it, Big C. It's too divisive to return something that don't belong to me. It's too divisive to return something that my ancestry stole. So the land that the slave worked, that land still exists. The land that the slaves worked, it still exists. You can trace back the people who have the land now and where it came from. And all that wealth that was bequeathed from past generations to current generations, it benefited white society. Even the Homestead Act of 1862. People say, oh, that's divisive. You mean the government only gave over 300 million acres of land to white people and white Europeans, but not black Americans? That's divisive, but they did it anyway. But can't you just tell me who won the game, Big C? I want to hear touchdown, home run, 3-point play, Big C. Come on, tell me about old man Willie. Did he hit a home run? Did he score a touchdown? Did he hit a 3-point play? We want to hear that all the time. But even these professional athletes, if they don't get paid, they have a strike. Oftentimes, if they don't get their contract negotiated, they won't even play. They'll sit out for more money. So why is it that asking for reparations is divisive when the white society today, the ones who bequeathed land, insurance, and money from those generations that had slavery, even through Jim Crow, they still have that land. They still have that interest that was made on the backs of slaves. Oh, it's too divisive to talk about that, they see. The United States of America still exists. That same country that refuses to return that wallet that you found at a restaurant because you're a crooked person. If you're a decent person, if you found someone's wallet at a restaurant, would you turn it into the manager and say, excuse me, someone left their wallet and I see it on the counter or on the table, I'm going to give it to you? Or would you be a thief and steal it? And you already know the answer. A lot of you are thieves, so you steal it. And you know you are. You know you're a thief. But a lot of you are decent. You return them out. You return the wallet because you're decent. And you know if you're decent or if you're a thief. You already know it. No matter what you try to fool other people with, you know if you're a thief or if you're decent. So if the United States of America walked into a restaurant and they saw descendants of child slavery that left their wallet on the table, would the United States government return it? Or would they keep it? Would they say, it's too divisive to return it? I gotta keep it. What would they do as they go into church on Sunday? These pastors that go all around the country saying do the right thing and pay the tithes to the church, give God your 10%. They should rally together and ask the United States government to give descendants of child slavery 10% of the country's wealth. Because it was stolen. The same way you found that wallet that you knew didn't have your name in it and you knew it wasn't yours, but you stole it anyway. And then you tried to hide it. And then you say it's too divisive to return it. It's too divisive to return it. You know it's not yours. Why would the descendants of child slavery have ancestors that work from cradle to grave, not even benefit from it? But the people who own slaves, they still benefit from it because they still have land that the slave worked. They still have land that the United States government gave in 1865. Actually, 1862 to 1860. They gave that land to white people and white Europeans. I'm talking about this same United States government that we say for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Brave for what? We fought in every war that this country has ever had. And you found our wallet and you refuse to return it because you say it's too divisive. How is it too divisive? It don't have your name on it. You took what was inside of it. And now you got us hooked on sports. And nothing wrong with sports. I'm going to play some things that you should listen to when it comes to returning somebody's wallet. It'll make a lot more sense if you're a decent person. If you're a crooked person, it won't make too much sense. It'll be too divisive. But if you're decent, it's going to make a lot of sense. If you're crooked, it's not going to make any sense.
Down to the beat, y'all. We get down to the beat, y'all.
In this episode of Black Excellist, we will be covering the following 4 topics as we hope to give you more context and background around reparations. In Section 1, we will cover the limited number of cities and states who are having serious discussions around reparations. In Section 2, we will cover the creative ways that they are calculating reparations owed to Black Americans. In Section 3, we will show you how to use the California Reparations Calculator with real live data. And in the last section, we will cover how you can potentially qualify for a reparations package. Bear in mind that this is a hypothetical use case for calculating and qualifying for reparations. At the time of this video, there have been only a dozen cities who have even taken up this subject. Has been around since 1865. After the Civil War, Union leaders concluded that each Black family should receive 40 acres, and some families were to receive mules left over from the war. President Andrew Johnson, however, reversed the order and returned the land back to former slave owners. Without question, reparation packages for Black Americans should be designed, legalized, and distributed at the federal level. The United States Congress has a moral and legal obligation to provide reparations for the enslavement of Africans and its lasting effects. There is a $14 trillion bill on the table, but many doubt that it will ever see the light of day. But some cities and local municipalities are taking it upon themselves to apologize for slavery. Some cities and local municipalities are being proactive and progressive, making amends for both the local and federal government's role in denying wealth-building opportunities for Black people. And yet, there are other cities who are forming committees and task forces to determine how a reparations program can be funded and implemented. Here are 3 governments that are pioneering paths and making significant progress in providing reparation packages to their Black citizens. We want to spend a little time describing their proposals, since these are likely to become national models that your city or state could adopt. Number 1, the state of California. The state of California is taking some very bold steps. They have formed the first state-appointed task force in the nation to explore how a state could make reparations to African Americans hurt by slavery. And they have even gone as far as to design an online calculator to help determine what a reparation payout would look like. Number 2, the city of Evanston, Illinois. The city of Evanston, Illinois has already approved their reparations program. However, they are less focused on slavery and want to help reverse some of the damage caused by discriminatory housing policies and practices. Their program is believed to be the first of its kind in the U.S. and is a potential national model to help Black Americans build wealth through home ownership. Number 3, the city of San Francisco. San Francisco supervisors have backed the idea of paying reparations to its Black citizens in lump sum payments of $5 million. But it's just a proposal for now with a list of qualifications where you must meet 2 of the 8 criteria to be eligible. But first, let's discuss how reparations are calculated. If your city or state follows the framework of the California Reparations Task Force, you may be provided with an online calculator to help you estimate the amount of reparations that you qualify for. This calculator uses certain criteria to determine the amount that you have lost due to generations and decades of systemic racism. Here are the 5 criteria that California is factoring in. Health harm. This is derived from the difference in life expectancy between Black and white residents. For example, in California, whites live 7.6 years longer than Blacks, and therefore, this loss of time will be compensated for. Mass incarceration and over-policing. This is derived from average salary for a state employee because incarcerated individuals were forced to provide unpaid labor for the state, plus loss of freedom compensation. The time frame corresponds to the national war on drugs. Housing discrimination. This is derived from the homeownership wealth gap from state-facilitated discriminatory redlining, unfair zoning, and prejudicial home lending practices. Devaluation of businesses. This is estimated from missed opportunities and wealth built through Black business establishments and the potential business profits. Unjust property takings. The task force highlighted several instances of eminent domain and unjust taking, but at the time of this video, the task force was not provided enough data to provide a specific calculation. But let's play with the numbers. Let's pretend that you do actually live in California and you live there for a minimum of 6 months of each. and you lived there for a minimum of 6 months of each year from 1950 to 2020. After entering the years of eligibility, notice that the reparations calculator automatically quantifies the amount of monetary damage that is due to you. So here is the final sum that would be owed to you per the California formula. It's a grand total of $1,381,198. Again, we want to remind you that this could be your package if your city or state adopts the reparations proposal that's before California. After watching the rest of this video, pull up the calculator and enter the values for you and your family members using the link in the description box below. But we may be putting the cart before the horse. Do you actually qualify for reparations? It really depends. But let's go through the 10 potential qualification points that we extracted from the reparation plans developed by California, San Francisco, and Evanston. Number 1, you must be a descendant of an enslaved African American. Only those individuals who are the descendants of enslaved African Americans can be eligible for monetary reparations. You will have to prove that you are in the lineage of someone who was enslaved through U.S. chattel slavery before 1865. Senior citizens will be given priority, and recent Black immigrants do not qualify. This is a requirement established by the California's Reparations Task Force for the California Reparations Program. If your city or state adopts their framework, then they will African American Freedmen Affairs Agency dedicated to not only implementing the reparation program, but also properly carrying out any policies adopted into law. This new agency would also carry the legal responsibility of helping applicants determine their eligibility. The agency would have a genealogy branch to support potential reparations applicants by providing access to expert genealogical research to confirm reparations eligibility. Number 2, you must be a descendant of a free African American living prior to 1900. If you are not the descendant of an enslaved Black American, you can also be eligible for reparations if you can prove that you are the descendant of a free African American who was living in the United States prior to 1900. This is an exception that was adopted by the California Reparation Task Force. Number 3, you must be at least 18 years old. If your city or state adopts the framework established by San Francisco, California, then in order to receive reparations, you must not only be African American, a descendant of an enslaved person, but you must be at least 18 years old. There must exist public documents where you have identified as either Black or African American for at least 10 years. Number 4, you must prove residency for at least 13 years. If your city or state adopts the reparations framework adopted by San Francisco, then you would have to be born in the city or state or have migrated there between 1940 and 1996. If this holds true, then you will have to show proof of at least 13 years of residency. Number 5, you must prove economic or health inequities. If your city or state adopts the reparations framework proposed by San Francisco, you could receive reparations if you can prove that your race is a factor in you not earning the average income or wealth threshold for your city or state. Also, if you can demonstrate that you lack access or proximity to quality educational opportunities, you may become eligible. And lastly, your city or state may target reparations for Black citizens who lived in specific zip codes, regions, or communities that have historically experienced particularly intense discrimination or violence. Number 6, you were incarcerated by the failed war on drugs. If you were arrested and incarcerated during the 1980s as part of the Reagan administration's failed war on drugs, then you are eligible for reparations. And if you are a direct descendant of someone who was incarcerated, you would be eligible for reparations if your city or state is using San Francisco's reparation program as a framework. 7, your family was displaced or land seized by the government. If your city or state were to follow the San Francisco framework, thousands of Black families would receive reparations if they lost their homes, land, farms, and businesses due to the local and federal government claiming their property under the power of eminent domain. You would also qualify if your family suffered from environmental injustices after corporations moved their refineries, landfills, and power plants in close proximity of Black neighborhoods, bringing in contaminated water, toxic chemicals, and air pollution. San Francisco also recognizes the structural racism where the local municipalities deliberately built interstates and highways that ran through the middle of thriving Black enclaves and business centers. The ripple effects damaged every aspect of Black lives: cultural, economic, environmental, political, and educational for generations. Your city or state, like San Francisco, may seek to compensate any family that suffered damage to their pathway to build generational wealth, secure stable housing, and live freely and healthy. Number 8, you experienced lending discrimination or was a victim of redlining. If your city or state were to follow the San Francisco framework, you would be entitled to reparations if you personally experienced lending discrimination between the years 1937 and 1968, or if you were a resident of a formerly redlined community between 1968 and 2008. Your city would officially identify the formerly redlined community to help you determine your eligibility. And for those who do not know and others who may need a refresher, redlining is a term for racial discrimination of any kind in housing. But specifically, redlining involves government maps that outlined areas where Black residents lived and were therefore deemed risky investments. These maps were also used by real estate agents, banks, and financial institutions to steer potential Black home buyers into these neighborhoods and deny loans for Black buyers who were looking to buy homes outside of these areas in predominantly white neighborhoods. Number 9, prove residency in your city between 1919 and 1969, or be a direct descendant. If your city or state adopts the framework established by Evanston, Illinois, it is possible that you would qualify for some form of reparations due to the harmful housing discrimination practices that African Americans suffered through. Adult residents who have lived in Evanston before 1969, when housing discrimination in various forms was at its height, are eligible for Evanston's reparation program. Evanston will pay out $25,000 to African Americans and their descendants who were affected by housing discrimination policies, prejudicial city zoning ordinances, and unfair redlining. Number 10, any Black person affected by systemic racism. Other cities such as Boston are considering extending reparations to all of their Black citizens. There is a growing argument that the legacy of the slave trade has affected the lives of every Black person in America, no matter when their ancestors arrived. Some reparation committees are giving consideration to a point system, where descendants of enslaved ancestors are given more points in the formula to determine eligibility. Or they would be given a bigger reparation package than a first or second generation Black immigrant.
Touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Old man Willie, he's going all the way to reparations.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, They provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. Now, this is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America. And it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it. I mean, murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. It's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
In your life, get the whole. I love reparations. I love reparations, and I love when we hear smart people talk about it. And my voice is a lot better today than it was the last couple of days. But I love sometimes putting myself on the bench and letting more bright minds come and talk about things that are going on in the world of sports and also reparations. So I just love doing that. And I'm so grateful of the wonderful people that I've met and that are talking to me about how to make sure that reparations happens in the United States. I'm going to give that some praise. In the meantime, I just want to finish up by saying NHL hockey, Stanley Cup playoffs, the playoff schedules right now. Got some Thursday second round games. But I look at hockey just doesn't measure up to basketball, in my opinion. The second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs continues to provide some thrilling action. And that continues to be the case when the Dallas Stars took on the Colorado Avalanche in an elimination game on Wednesday. The Stars had the Avalanche on the ropes in early going in Game 5 after two teams exchanged goals to open the contest. The Stars defenseman Mario Haskinen found the back of the net to give Dallas a 2-1 lead midway through the second period. However, when the Avalanche made their move, led by a 2-goal performance from defenseman Kale Marker, Colorado scored 4 of the final 5 goals of the game, including 3 unanswered tallies, to come away with a 5-3 victory. The Stars still lead the series 3-2, but this series will now shift back to Colorado for Game 6 on Friday. Look at that. In Colorado, you have the Denver Nuggets and now the Colorado Avalanche doing their part and trying to make sure that the state of Colorado is going to not only cheer for a champion, but they're going to cheer for reparations now, reparations forever. And that's my hope that we have when it comes to NHL hockey. It's all fair and level. Where the division winner with the most points in each conference will face the second wild card team in the first round. The division winner with fewer points in each conference will match up with the top wild card in the first round. So I love NHL, but it just doesn't compare, in my opinion, to the NBA. But I will tell you, Stanley Cup playoff information you got on ESPN, ESPN2, TBS, TNT, etc. In the Eastern, you have the New York Rangers versus the Carolina Hurricanes. You have in my opinion, I like the Hurricanes. I got the Florida Panthers versus the Boston Bruins, and Florida might just knock Boston out of it. That makes sense to you. In the Western Conference, Dallas Stars versus the Colorado Avalanche. That might be something to watch if the Avalanche can get in there, along with the Denver Nuggets, Vancouver Canucks versus the Edmonton Oilers. And we got the teams in Canada that are doing their part, trying to make sure that hockey stays on the minds of a lot of people. They like this right. Get that some praise if that makes sense to you. I gotta also tell you, I really appreciate gargling with salt water because it's helped my voice come through the pain of trying to go through the salt water and gargling without swallowing that stuff. It can be nasty, but imagine how it clears up the throat, and it's been able to do that for me, and that's what I really do appreciate. That salt is so cheap. It's less expensive than some of these $15 shenanigans that are made up when all you need is some salt and gargle with warm water and some ginger, all spray in lemon water. But I feel like I'm getting much, much better. 2024 NBA playoff schedules. I'm telling you, with the Wolves, Conley has a calf. He's available for Game 6. And the Sixers, Tyrese Maxey wins the NBA Sportsmanship Award. So good job for him doing that. LeBron James watches Bronny James at the draft combine. I'm sure he's so proud of his son being able to at least have a dream of playing in the NBA Finals. Because his son, his dad has 4 championships, been in many, many finals. So his son, if he could follow in his dad's footsteps, it's a lot to ask. And people are saying, well, can you measure up to him? Maybe not. But it's a good thing that LeBron has a son right there to help him do that. The Nets retired Vince Carter's number 15 jersey. And at the same time, there's a lot of good things. Horford helped the Boston Celtics knock out the good old boys from Cleveland yesterday. But everybody has their own thoughts about how old somebody is before they step away from the game. But tonight, got the Denver Nuggets. They're taking on Minnesota. In Minnesota, Denver leads the series 3-2. I think they're going to close out tonight. That's just my opinion. And then you have New York Knicks and Indiana Friday. I think the Knicks will win that series too. Give that some praise. That's praise. That's my story. And I'm sticking with it. Well, I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy on my mother's side, my great-grandparents, Mama and Pop. Really do appreciate them. My grandparents, Madia and Hezekiah, really do appreciate them. They were seers. They could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and future. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. The best person I ever met in my life. Always saying rise and shine. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my grandparents, Albert Curry and Alberta Curry, they were pastors. They had 3 churches and 2 gas stations. Also owned 40 acres of land. I was 8 years old walking through a hallway. About 10 o'clock at night, I felt a hand touch my forehead. And she said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies?" I said, "What are you doing up, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies?" I said, "Cookies are baby crap. What I'm doing, Grandma, I'm going to get my reparations." But some cookies wouldn't hurt. And she let me have some cookies, too. Really do appreciate her. She said, "There's something about your voice I love when you speak. It wasn't as raspy as it is now." But she still said it. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother, Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. Always saying, "Go forward." A voracious reader. I love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors, and 3.5 years from a major university. I'm telling you, she said at the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast back in the day at Salem Media, we went on to become the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. Daisy, you can be anything you want. Always trust God. Isaiah 54:17. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, very smart, erudite, a good man. You can be anything you want to be, Malcolm. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. College student. Malcolm said, one day I was looking up newspapers to get stats on players and teams. One day Malcolm said, "Dad, why don't you just Google it?" And the light bulb went up. I've been Googling ever since. Now on 29 podcast platforms. One day Malcolm said, "Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, say play Big C Sports, and see your show come up." That's before it was even on the air. And now you can find it on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God. You can be anything you want to be. And then Big C with all that wealth and knowledge over the years. Like my great-granddaddy coming out of that bar and saying, "You got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe," saying, "Let's get ready to rumble." I'm trying to save my throat. I'm trying to save my voice. I love saying welcome to the show. ESPY-nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. And that's pretty obvious by now. But I always tell you, as I always tell you, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink, because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things I have to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can walk it off. You can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start drinking and driving. The life you save may be your own or someone you love. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Well, as my beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap. If you know anybody going through that crap, pick up the phone and call 911. No man, woman, or child should ever have to deal with that situation. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty. I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to champion reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly and I sting like a bee. There was no fighter greater than Muhammad Ali. And this is how we pay honor to reparations, the way President Abraham Lincoln paid reparations to slave owners. People don't know that, but that's what he did. And that was wrong. I told you, if you found somebody's wallet, would you turn it in or would you keep it? Would you turn it in because it don't belong to you or would you keep it? What should the United States do when it comes to the descendants of child slavery? All that unpaid labor, all that forced labor from cradle to grave, should they return the favor by paying reparations? Of course they should. When should they do it? They should do it now. As I always say, reparations now, reparations forever. You want to say it like your team just won the game. You got to say pay reparations now, pay reparations forever. Say it like your heart, mind, body, and soul believes in it. I want to say pay reparations now, pay reparations forever. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.